All right, this is the Outfeed table that I'm going to be updating. It was built off the Shop Nation plans, and I've had it for quite a while, and it's been great for everything that I've had. As you can see, changed some of the things that were in the plan to fit my needs, which is obviously what it's there for. It's very modular to what you want it to be. And based off of that, the only thing I did to the top is I included T track, and I did that along the outskirts of the side, and then I also added some micro jig on the outside railing slash trim for the micro jig dovetail holders, and then also those Craig clamp holders I installed into them. So out of those three different holding techniques and jigs from that, the only one that I'm going to carry over are the Craig clamps. Everything else, I didn't use as much as I thought it was, but this is just some shots showing all the abuse that I've had. There's cuts from my domino in there. There's some skill saw cut marks. As you can see, some water damage. It's MDFs. There's some breaks from the jigs, but this is just showing like where I'm going to go with this and how I'm going to get it updated. This is just the essential breakdown of everything. So right now I'm just taking everything apart from the tabletop. I'm in a 2-car garage in Texas. So you're going to see a fan because that's really all I have. I used to have one of the bigger fans, but as I got tools over the course of my time being in this 2-car garage, it becomes a premium with space. So you'll start to see a fan every now and again because I think this was in August, and that time is synonymous with the heat in Texas. But that was just me removing the tabletop. I broke it down and got rid of it with it. So here I am laying out the screw locations for the new tabletop for the Outfeed table. So what it is just a 3/4 inch OSB and MDF that I'm going to laminate together. Obviously, with the size of it, I don't have any clamps that are going to reach the inside, so the screws are going to allow me to clamp them. So that's all I'm doing now with that. So I'm laying out the locations. I believe I don't show it. Yeah, so I did pre-drill all of that, um, but here I am just dumping everything out, and obviously I was concerned. It's not the coolest in the garage when I'm working, so I did have a concern. So I'm using Type Bond 3 since it has the longest open shelf life once I get it poured. So I'm just using a spreader to kind of get it on there, and with it being MDF, it's going to absorb it very quickly. So I was just trying to get it on there as quickly as possible. So here I am just basically getting it squared up in the corner with these corner clamps. And then once I get them on, then that's when I go about adding the screws to get them clamped down. And that's what I'm doing here. So it's been a few hours. I'm comfortable with it dry because, as you can see on the side, I did have some uh, spill out from the glue, so I was comfortable with how everything appeared, and it did dry. So I went and removed the glue because at this point, I'm gonna start to make the dog holes for this um, tabletop. So it is going to be very modular from how I'm going to be able to have work hold downs and everything. So I did recently get a shaper, and one of my first projects I knew I was going to be doing with that shaper was a new tabletop. So here I am just really trying to figure out because I'm pretty sure when I got this, it was a few weeks ago. So learning the process, so laying out the shaper tape, scanning, and here's me just trying to figure out the best technique because obviously I'm inch and a half worth of drilling going through this process of making all these dog holes. And you'll see the way I have it laid out. So I didn't just go, a straight square layout for the dog holes. I did make it a process that if I wanted to use the other side of the tabletop, because I don't want any screws to drop down into the outfeed table, I'm at least able to utilize that side for different processes and won't have to worry about stuff falling down into dog holes, which coincidentally enough, it still happens. So be it. But that's what it looks like. I'll have a shot later on, but here I am just breaking it down to final dimensions before I add any of the edge banding. But at this point, I do have the layout for all the dog holes at this point, and I'm going trimming it up based off it. And just if you're curious, so before it was 85 inches by 49 inches is what the previous tabletop is, and this one will end up being 48 inches by 72 inches. So obviously in a two-car garage, the previous one was pretty big because it pretty much took up one whole side, because at the end of it, as you can see, I have a belt sander, and then on the opposite end I have my table saw. So it took up a lot of room. So with me removing about 15 inches lengthwise, it at least makes it feel a little bit bigger. So whenever I have to maneuver around the tabletop to get on one side or another, like as you're seeing I'm having to do, if I'm having to cut sheets of plywood, it helps out. So here's one of the areas that I kind of figured out and wished I wouldn't have done at this point, but it's always hindsight when you look back at it. But here I am. I'm cutting out the openings for the Craig clamp holders. Um, so I went ahead and cut these out at this point before I had the laminate on it. If you are going to do this, as you can see, before I get into that, but as you can see my layout, how it has that opening at the bottom for me to use. But what I would have done, I would have done laminate and then done everything at the after the fact. It would have just saved a lot more time, and I'll talk about that later on. But I just wish I would have done that later on in the process instead of at that point, because once I had the laminate on, I really had to, since it was a little bit thicker, I really had to kind of guess to find out where everything was, and it wasn't as easy as I thought it was to find where the layout was. But anyway, so at this point, I have some hardwood. This was red oak that I was using. So I'm just, I had that. I didn't really want to use anything that I had to go out and buy for this tabletop outside of the what I had there. But here I am just jointing and planing it down, getting it down to the 3/4 that I need for everything. So I'm just ripping it down for what I need, and then after that, I'll break it down in strips. I'm not gonna do anything fancy with it. I'm not doing any kind of miter joints or anything like that. I'm literally just gonna take it, run it through the strip, butt join it up, and call it a day, because I'm going to have the laminate over laying over everything. So nothing fancy or anything like that. So here I am. I'm just a 23 gauge Brad Neller, nothing special. I'm not trying to hide any of them, because even at this point, once I look back at it, I really can't see where I used any of the Brad nails or anything like that. But not really worried about it from the notion of shop furniture. But just using some clamps to help me hold it steady, since it was just me, obviously, into using this. My main concern was just making sure that my board was as thick as the thickness of the two boards I was using, or excuse me, the MDF and the OSB. That's my main concern. So I've just applied it to one side and applied it to the other, and then applied them with the Brad Neller, and then called it a day. Excuse me, and then called it a day. All right. So at this point, it's a lot of sanding, just to make sure everything's true to the top, and with the trim that I just applied from that standpoint. Because after this is where that's when we go to the process of applying the cement, and then applying the laminate and everything like that. So just cleaning everything up as much as I can and making sure everything is as flush as can be. Obviously, dealing with MDF, you won't have to worry about as any kind of warping or waves or anything like that. But it's just making sure that you had a clean install when applying them, so it really has wasn't as bad as it once was. So it's just really kind of a easy process when you talk about sanding, because everybody hates sanding. That's just me. As I talked about earlier, nothing special, just quick and easy butt joints, and then flush trimming it with the table saw, or flush trim saw that I have with the Japanese pool saw, excuse me. And then just making sure it was clean as much as can be, and then took it from there. Here I am just prepping with the cement, getting ready. I was a little bit too excited because I forgot how much that smelled. So, getting my respirator out and opening up the garage doors, and then just applied it. I only show myself applying the one coat. Uh, if anybody's watched any videos, because obviously that was probably the trend of 2023 is laminate. But I think I applied two coats per side, so two on the MDF top and then two on the actual laminate, and it's good to go. And it probably took 15-20 minutes to dry. I mean, it's quick and easy, so it's not anything hard. It's just obviously making sure you're in a ventilated area and make sure you prep yourself, because once it sticks, I mean, there's no going back uh, from that standpoint. So slow and steady wins the race when it's dealing with this. But just lay it out, get you all your materials out there, and lay out how you're gonna apply it, and you'll be good to go. And it wasn't a hard task, because before I did this top, I did do a miter station, as you can see in this shot. I did that, and I did do the MDF, so it was a smaller application, so it's a lot easier to manage than this bigger tabletop. So it wasn't as daunting as one might think. But this is just me applying it on the actual laminate. So I just showed the one coat, but I did apply the two, and then after an hour or so, it was dry to the touch, and then I started prepping and getting ready. So to get ready, all I did is I didn't have any wood, so I just had some. I just went and got some dowels from Home Depot, basically just to keep it from sticking, since it was just me at the house that day. Nobody really helped me, so to prevent it from sticking. And then once I saw that it was all lined up, just slowly removed it. Because of my layout, what I did not do is, I wouldn't say I didn't measure correctly, but I had to buy the 5x12 instead of the 4x8, so that was an extra cost that I didn't think about, because it was a hair over once I added my trimming. All right, once everything's dry at this point, then I just go and take a flush trim bit and just go around and remove all the excess that I won't need. Makes the cleanup a lot easier. And then after that, I just take a quick little round over bit to make the transition from the laminate to the outside seamless, to prevent any catches and chipping from occurring over the use of the table. All right, and then here are some final shots that I have of what it looks like, and then also the actual shots of me with a lot of the accessories that I bought for the actual table that help out with everything. So, definitely something that helps improve the look of the shop, and it definitely helps with the actual process and modular aspect of the table. So something that I've had for going on for the last half of the year, and I definitely love it. It's easy to clean up, and definitely a much needed upgrade. So if you have any questions or comments about it, please leave your comments below. And until next time, I appreciate it.